Here we go. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Star. This is June, what is this? June 21st, 2020. It is Father's Day. So I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and happy Father's Day to all the mothers that are doing the father's jobs out there. I want to share with you this morning. Let me see if I can get my screen back. A poem that my dad gave me a long time ago. I think he clipped it out of a newspaper. And it's a little hard to follow, but maybe some of you all have heard it before. It's titled With Love. And it's about a father teaching his son to tie his tie. So it goes like this. My father ties, I do not tie my tie. On some night long ago in June, I tried to try. My first tie snarled upon my vest, my hands all thumbs, and presto changeo, something awful this way comes. My father quietly came by and studied me and stood behind. Be blind, he said. Stay off of mirrors. Let your fingers learn to do. His lesson lingers. What he said was true. Eyes shut, with him to help me over, up, around, and under, out. Somehow a knot miraculous came out. There's nothing to it, said my dad. Now, son, you do it. No, eyes shut. And with one last dear blind perceiving, he taught my crippled fingers arts of weaving, then turned away. Well, to this day, how dare I boast, I cannot do it. I call that long gone, sweet tobacco smelling ghost to help me through it. He helps me yet. Upon my neck, his breath, the scent of his last cigarette. There is no death for yestereve. His phantom fingers came and helped me tuck and weave. If this is true, it is. He'll never die. My father ties. I do not tie my tie. So I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. Thanks for the applause, Ellen. I would like Jim and Nikki to join me in here, and we're going to read the vision statement, if they're going to come on over here. So my friend Jim Michaels is in from out of town, so we just thought we'd get a group together and read this. Okay, ready? Our Sunday gathering is designed to provide a weekly encouragement to individually manifest our highest good and purpose in our lives. Inner direction is the key. We reinforce positive directions for our lives and the infinite potential within us. We seek connections to create an open atmosphere of acceptance of all backgrounds, races, and lifestyles. We come together in a spirit of inclusiveness, embracing all spiritual paths, honoring God in an atmosphere of unconditional love. And now let's do our meet and greet. If everybody wants to do the waves and the hugs, and hope that we'll soon all be back together and do this in person. And we will. But now it's time to do our morning chant, and I'm going to hand it over to Frank. Frank, be sure to unmute yourself for the chant. And the chant this morning is We Are the People. So everybody keep yourselves muted, but go ahead and sing it at home if you want. I think we're having a bit of sound trouble, but I think Frank's working on that.
We are the people of love. Let us, the people, love today. Satnam, 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 Waheguru. We are the people of love. Let us, the people, love today. Satnam, 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 Waheguru. We are the people of love. Let us, the people, love today. Satnam, 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 Waheguru. We are the people of love. Let us, the people, love today. Satnam, 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 Satnam,
Thank you, Frank. Now, Helen Duchon. Yeah, thanks. Helen Duchon is doing the meditation this morning. So Helen, be sure to unmute yourself and everybody sit back and relax for the meditation.
Okay, before we begin, let's tighten every muscle. Start with your toes. Curl them. Squeeze your feet, calves, thighs, bottom, tummy, back, fists, arms, shoulders, neck, face, scalp. Now let go. Relax. Breathe in deep. Slowly. We're going to run the energy 3 times. First for healing, mental and physical. Second for cleaning and clearing, both physical and beliefs. And last for peace and harmony in our lives and around the world. So now take your attention to the top of your head, the soft spot of the baby. See the golden light of the Godhead streaming down to your head. Can you smell the 1,000-petal lotus at the top of your head? Bring the golden light into your brain. Take it to the third eye between your eyebrows. Let it flow down your face like warm honey, soothing and smoothing your skin. Let it flow over your chin, down your neck, across your shoulders, and down each arm into your hands. Leave the light in the palm of your hands, resting on your thighs. Now go back to the top of your head. Sit in the stream of golden light from the Godhead. Bring it into your brain. Let it fill every crevice and crease, every cell and nerve. Let the light flow down your spine. Let it spill out to organs that need the healing light. Let it go to the coccyx at the bottom of your spine and split to each leg and pick up the energy you left in your hands. Flow it over your knees and down your calves to your feet and into the earth. Give thanks and gratitude for healing. Now go back to the top of your head and bring the golden light to your brain. Take it to the third eye between your eyebrows. Let it flow down your face like warm honey, soothing and smoothing your skin. Let it flow over your chin, down your neck, across your shoulders, and down each arm and into your hands. Leave the light in the palm of your hands, resting on your thighs. Go back to the top of your head. Sit in the stream of golden light from the Godhead. Bring it into your brain. Let it fill every crevice and crease, every cell and nerve. Let the light flow down your spine. Let it spill out to organs that need the healing light. Let it go to the coccyx and split to each leg and pick up the energy you left in your hands. Flow over your knees and down your calves and to your feet and into the earth. Give thanks and gratitude for cleaning and clearing. Now go back to the top of your head, the soft spot of the baby. See the golden light of the Godhead streaming down to your head. Bring the golden light into your brain and take it to the third eye between your eyebrows. Let it flow down your face like warm honey, smoothing and smoothing your skin. Let it flow over your chin, down your neck, across your shoulders, and down each arm and into the palm of your hands. Leave the light in your hands, resting on your thighs. Go back to the top of the head. Sit in the stream of golden light from the Godhead. Bring it into your brain and let it fill every crevice and crease, every cell and nerve. Let the light flow down your spine. Let it flow to the organs that need the healing light. Let it go to the coccyx and split to each leg and pick up the energy in your hands. Let it flow over your knees and down your calves and to your feet and into the earth. And give thanks and gratitude for peace, and send this peace to everyone in your neighborhood, in our town, in your state, in your country and around the world. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. I had to come back from that one. Well, I'm going to introduce our speaker, Ben Davidson. He is all the way from California, coming to us from California. But Ben was born in Hera, Oklahoma in 1949. He chose birth in this place and to the parents who provided him the opportunity to meet with his master/root teacher at the early age of 19. He was fortunate to study with his master teacher for 18 years. During this time, he was trained in many of the subtle energetic components of the spiritual gifts that manifest as one progresses in the stages of concentration and contemplation. Ben has studied at Oklahoma Baptist University, OSU, OU, and has taken courses at MIT, Stanford, and other institutions. He has lived in Silicon Valley since '95, and his career has been in the computer industry. He teaches, writes, lectures, and provides service to those in need globally. And then we were talking about this before the service started. He manages project development and inventions in neuroscience, neurofeedback, and auditory neuroscience. And he explained a bit of that earlier. But Ben is going to share a short story about his first meeting with his root guru, Audley Allison, and the profound impact it had on his life. And the title of Ben's talk is Do What Makes Your Soul Happy. So Ben, be sure to unmute yourself and share with us your presentation today.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, very good. I'm going to share the screen and see if we can get started. And you should see my screen now, and it has the title, Do What Makes Your Soul Happy. I'll turn off the comments that automatically comes on in PowerPoint. But doing what makes your soul happy is a key reason that I live. And one of the things that makes my soul happy or makes me feel an expression and part of a divine flow is sharing and presenting and giving information, helping others to find that connection to their own being. And one thing I always like to start with is a quote that was actually given to me by Audley. It was first in a truth journal that was produced by Roy Eugene Davis back in 1970 or so. And it says, seek truth in meditation, not in moldy books. Look into the sky to see the moon, not in the pond. And that's an old Persian proverb. And I think Audley gave it to me specifically because I was at that time working on a degree in philosophy at Oklahoma State University, and then went ahead to do work on a master's there. And I often, my I guess disposition is to try to find books, and I'll share some of those with you as we go, ones that have helped me. But I wanted to, as Mike said, tell you a little bit about my teacher, Audley Allison. I can tell even the meditation that you're doing has roots in some of the things that he taught. And I know many of you there either knew him or were aware of him and experienced things from him in your life. And the things that I experienced were quite profound, and I was fortunate to study with him for many years. And the one story that I like to share, and one reason I also start with beginning meditation techniques and the beginning introduction is because I don't know the full background of all the people that might be listening, but also I found that there's just some of the basic things that if you do that, simply those, you can wake up to the divine part of your own being, and you can be in contact with your soul and know what makes your soul happy. And so the story, when I first met Audley, it was almost accidental. I had finished a year in school, had come to Oklahoma City to drop off a roommate, and took him by his house, dropped him off. And I remembered my dad had told me about a place that had some teachings, different spiritual teachings and stuff. It was called the New Age Center. It used to be on kind of the east side of Oklahoma City. And a guy named Charlie Rhodes put it together, and it was a small group of truth seekers. And he told me if I was in Oklahoma City, I should stop there. And I went in, and I was about a half hour early. And he said, "Oh, you're in great luck this evening. We have the most famous meditation teacher." And then he said, "Maybe the only one in Oklahoma City that we know, but he's very good. And he's going to be talking tonight about how to meditate. And he's got some drawings that he's done from his own experiences, and he will share those." And I said, "Oh, this is great. That's just what I needed to know." And part of what had led me there is in the year before, I had begun to have spontaneous out-of-body experiences that frightened me a great deal at first. And then I began to be more balanced in how I dealt with them. But the people at the Southern Baptist Church assured me they were the work of the devil, and I should just read the Bible and pray more and try to stay away from that stuff. But because it happened spontaneously, it gave great questions within myself. And so I began to, seek answers there, and found a minister that prayed with me and helped me find guidance. And then in a short time, I had this experience where I met Audley. And when I came in, he came in with his wife, Pauline, and he had two pictures that I will show in just a second that he had drawn, and they were drawn on a felt material with very brilliant effervescent chalk materials, and they kind of were alive and like what you might see in the inner world. And he called those maps of the kingdom. And he said, "I'll explain those." And then he said, "Well, I want you to learn to meditate." And I thought, well, why meditate? It sounded like a good idea, but I had no idea what it was. And he said, "You meditate to know the kingdom or to know the self." And he gave instruction similar to what Helen went through in the initial stages of how to meditate. And then the overview of everything he said, it really came down to answering a question for yourself in terms of what are you? And he said, once you have some experience of that, it can result in self, or what he called God realization. And he said, and then beyond that, you can know the soul, or what he called the oversoul. And then he talked about doing what makes you happy. Well, being a young guy, I thought what makes you happy is finding girls and, getting involved in parties and doing things like that. And so in time, when I shared with him what made me happy, and he said, well, that's not exactly what I had in mind. He said, I really had in mind more of what makes your soul happy. And so that began my experience with him. But in the meditation process, we went through the basic meditation, and he stressed that there were, every human being has states of consciousness or stages of consciousness. And he said, we have waking consciousness, which we're kind of in, hopefully in a waking consciousness right now. We're talking and at least pretending to be aware. We have dream consciousness. As we sleep, sometimes we have experiences, visual and auditory, and we call them dreams, and they're frightening, or they're very good, or we like them, or we don't. But we're in the dream state, and then we're in sleep sometimes. It's a deep sleep, no dreams. There's no motion, no rapid eye movement. The body actually slows down. The brain waves go into a deep delta, and we find very restful peace. And then he said the one thing that you need to notice about all that is there's a fourth state, and it's a non-dual, pure consciousness. In many traditions, it's called Turiya or Turiyatita. And in that state, it's saying that there's, no matter which other state you're in, there is some level of you or some part of you that's conscious and aware that you're awake, or that you're dreaming, or that you're asleep and having no dreams. And he said that fourth state is what we want you to be in touch with and to know. And then he proceeded in, as you had shared in the drawing, this drawing, which he called the kingdom of man. And he indicated that all of these components, or all of these centers within man, and we look at like the root chakra, the heart center. We just did a meditation and talked some about that. The third eye, the seat of will, the crown chakra, the point that energy enters the body, and then the planes in between, and the Godhead, the brilliant white light. All of those, he said, could be experienced. And he taught us the meditation, and in the meditation, he said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to block that flow of energy. We're going to put a small dam of energy right at the top of the head. And as we block that flow of energy, you often will feel it. You'll feel a pressure, a tingling, some sensation on the head. And as you do that, then you do the movement through the body as Helen directed us. But that first stage in that movement of the energy is simply becoming aware of the life force or the flow. And that's how we first start to become aware of ourselves. And then the second part of the meditation, he talked about a practice called listening in. And it basically is rolling the eyes up, holding them closed with the fingers gently, and then closing the ears. And you listen in and you will hear subtle sounds from the inner world, and you may see images. And as he was describing what would happen in this dream experience or in this meditative experience, just before he would say things, I was seeing them in my own mind. And I'd see a beautiful golden ring, a deep field of purple. I would hear sounds, and the sounds I heard, he said, were associated with the heart. They were like little fine tingling bells, and they would just be overwhelming. And it would be so beautiful, and I could listen to it. And he said, well, listen to the sound and follow it back to the source. And he said, the sound is what guides you, and the light that you will see is what protects you. And I saw a brilliant, after the gold ring, a brilliant white light emerged into that. And I said, this guy really knows what he's talking about. You know, it had a very profound impact on me. And I thought, wow, this stuff is real. You know, it's just like before he even says it, I'm having the experience. So I felt I wasn't being duped. And then he said, beyond this, now we've done two things. We've become aware of the flow of life force. And then second, we've taken our sense perception and we've turned it inward. And we start going to the inner worlds rather than to the outer worlds with what we see and what we taste and feel and you know, here in the world, we're directing it inwardly. And he said, that's the way to find the soul. And he said, okay, now that we've run the energy and we've become aware of the inner lights, we've become more peaceful. And in the brainwave terminology, you've usually entered more of an alpha state, maybe dropped into a deeper theta state, a slower brainwave frequency. But the body has become relaxed and the mind has become still. And then he suggested that we focus our concentration at the top of the head. And as we breathe in and out, we feel that movement of energy coming into our body and leaving our body, coming into the body and leaving the body. And I was amazed that it actually felt like I was not breathing through my nose, but breathing through the top of my head, and a very profound experience. And then he said, okay, we're going to do this for a few moments. Just if your mind drifts or you see imagery, try to come back and just monitor your breath and think of going in and going out. And he had several simple mantra that he shared that were tools to help with that. And as I sat there for a moment, all of a sudden I found myself in a scene that became very vivid, just unbelievably real, like 4K video type real. And I was standing on a battleship. I was in the Pacific Ocean. It was World War II. There were 5 of us standing on the bridge of the battleship, and we were talking with one another. We were all officers in some function. And then one of the gentlemen pointed out into the water, and he said, look, and we looked, and there were 2 torpedoes coming toward the ship. And I remember looking into each man's face and I could just see everybody knew this was it. We were getting ready to be hit, and then there was a giant explosion. And I had some memory of that, but mostly falling into the water after the ship had gone down, and then just drifting deeper and deeper into the awareness. And I was speechless at this point, and didn't know what to think. And then he says, okay, it's time to come back from meditation and relax. And I was at a point then that I really couldn't talk, and I did not share that experience with anyone after that. But a number of years later, I was driving with him in a car, and he said, he was telling me about why he started teaching. He said he began to teach because there were many soldiers that had been killed in the war that had kind of lost their way. And he wanted to help them find their self and find their awareness. And when he told me that, I began to weep kind of uncontrollably. And he said, and you know all about it. And that's why I said, oh, wow, this, he is for real. And I'd never told him or shared that experience with him. But, it was clear it was a past life for me in the most recent lifetime. And as I went back and recalled those memories, I could see that in time, drifting in the states of the in-between worlds, that I didn't know, I was lost and didn't know what to do. I thought about him. He had been a teacher in a previous life. And when I did, I was flying through the air and then took birth in Oklahoma, and then met him when I came of age. So it was kind of an interesting experience for me. It had a profound impact on my life. Helped me to understand what it is. And then he went from that into the second part of his lecture, which he called the Kingdom of God. And he said, this part at the top, the great supreme, is what we all are, and we're a manifestation of that experience. And it comes out as a small seed of consciousness down a ray and forms what he called the oversoul. And it's an exact image of that being. And then the oversoul, as it comes into life and begins to express, it drops out a seed that goes in and finds a body to take birth in. And once you have birth, then if you're fortunate, you'll have a desire to go back and turn within and go back and find the source. And that's what truly makes the soul happy, is finding that journey and going back in. And then once you get back in and touch that source, touch that awareness, then you begin to truly know the joy or the bliss of consciousness. In the Hindu traditions, they talk about that bliss sheath. It's as this comes out and first forms a seed, there's a sheath of energy that's kind of a golden light, golden awareness. And that sheath, when you touch it, it makes you feel unbelievably fulfilled, complete, content. And a lot of people come to that and they just want to stop. But he assured me that that's only the area that's the first breath of the Supreme. And he said the great Supreme Consciousness wants to know itself. And as it wants to know itself, in that great love to know all of creation, it creates these seeds that go out and experience the world. They touch that and come down and create sensory bodies so that we can know and experience all of consciousness. And the basic meditation teachings are simply to help you be aware of that, and then to follow that journey back in. And as you move back into the depths of your being, the mind becomes more still as it becomes more and more calm. Often there's areas which in the second physical and the etheric planes, which you may see beings or entities or spirits from other worlds. Sometimes people are naturally aware of these. And then as you get to what he called the Buddha level or the golden light, the duality of nature begins to disappear. And you get into the high mind, and the high mind is a discriminatory mind. It can tell the difference between right and wrong, between truth and untruth. And the lower minds that function in the body, those are the mind that's really a sense organ, just like our ears and our eyes. And the mind in the lower level is an organ that perceives thought. And that's what you're in when you're in dreaming. That's what you're in when you're in daydreaming, or when you close your eyes and you see images, or oftentimes people spend much of their day and much of their life in that mental dreaming state. And it's sometimes hard to get past that. We get attached to our form, We get attached to the body. We think often that's the only thing there is, and we do all we can to stimulate it even more. And so we drink, we eat, we have sex, we do all those things to enjoy life. And that has its time and its place. But as you, typically as you age, you have a greater awareness, and you want to go deeper and deeper into the self, and you want to know more about what you are. And then to just kind of, look at a point in wrapping up, I'd say that the path that Audley taught, that I was at least perceived, was two components. It was what he called the Holy Nam, that was from his root teacher, Dr. Thin, and following the sound current, and then Kriya Yoga. He was introduced to that by Roy Eugene Davis, who was a direct disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. And Audley said the key important part was dedication, commitment to the self, or God realization, and ethical living. You have to have discipline. You have to concentrate the mind and focus the attention. There has to be devotion. Devotion for the love of God, for self, for the guru, for the teaching, for the path. Some people experience it as nature. That might be what they see most and their greatest devotion is to. And then discrimination is very important, to know whether or not you're following the correct path, the correct direction. You're going toward the source. And then the meditation that we talked about, and he called it, Dr. Thin called it, Roy Davis called it, superconscious meditation, that Turiyatita, that fourth state that is aware that you're aware. And that's what we all strive to get to. And then if you get there, you start remembering what you are, where you're from, and you become aware of the energy of life, the life force. And that's known by many names. In Star Wars, it's simply called the Force. It's called Chi, Ki, different words in the different cultures. And then you listen and you follow that sound current. And then the addition of the Kriya Pranayama, it's simply a reversing of the current and the movement of energy, and it helps to accelerate the process of knowing yourself. And so I thank you very much. That's kind of a quick overview. I really appreciate it, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ben. That's extraordinary. What an extraordinary experiences you've had. Now, Ben is going to stick around after we close with the peace song later to answer any questions and maybe a little further discussion on his experiences and the such. So right now, we are going to do a song. Frank's going to do a song, Just Love. So Frank, be sure to unmute, and let's all enjoy another song from the fabulous, awesome Morning Star Band.
What if God is love, just love? What if God is just love, just love? What would I do? Would I still refer to God as a He? Would I join a congregation for an hour once a week? What would I do with my faith? Because I know that love is real. What would I do? Just love. What if God is love, just love? What if God is just love, just love? What would you do? Would you ever feel the need to cast
Yeah, a big round of applause for the band, Frank, Ken, Jeffrey, Daryl, Ian. I know Saker's been key in organizing the band and putting some of the voice into it. And then there's several other people. So we thank you all for the continued music. Now it's time for the offering prayer. Just want to remind everybody, if we get that slide up, just want to remind everybody that you can go to the website, and at the upper right corner, there's a donate button, or you can write a check and mail it to the address that's up on the screen. At the Morning Star's P.O. Box is 1511 in Norman, and our zip code is 73070. So your continued donations and offerings are, we thank you so much for those. Now, Nikki and Jim and I, excuse me, will you all join us, please, in the offering prayer. Recognizing God as the source of my supply, I joyously give of God's abundance, which is blessed and multiplied through me, and so it is. So announcements for this week. First of all, Summer Breeze is going to be on KGOU tonight, and Bo Jennings and the Tigers are playing. And Bo, you all may know Bo Jennings from coming to Morning Star. So he and Jody used to come regularly with their kids. So it's 7 o'clock tonight on KGOU. Be sure to join them. And other announcements, we still need a few speakers for August. If anyone wants to speak, we always, in the summertime, we love to have folks from our own group come and speak about something. So if you feel like talking, please contact me or someone on the board, and we'd love to set you up. Also, we do need meditators for August. We have a couple. But I still need, I think, at least three more meditators. So sign up or in the chat if you're interested in meditating. Please say, hey, I'm interested in meditating, and I'll snag your name and call you later in the week. With that, we're going to repeat the prayer for protection, and then we'll go right into the peace song. So everybody join us at home. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. One thing I forgot to do, everybody, is announce next week's speaker. So let me do that real quick, and then we can talk with Ben some more. Next week, Sunday, is Dottie Hager. She's going to be talking about quantum and magic begin here, being playful in these uncertain times. And let me just read a bit about that. How can finding ways to play help you? One of the ways is to nourish yourself. Be more whimsical and lighthearted. Play helps you relieve stress and anxiety. It changes your mood. And think about how magic can expand your thinking beyond worries of these changing times. She says, go to the quantum field of possibilities. You have access to the frequencies of unlimited power. So the message from Dottie is going to ask you to explore a lighter side of life, even in challenging times. The place where transformation and joy happens. So please be sure to tune back in, same time next Sunday. So now, I like to go to gallery view on this one, but if you have a question for Ben,